What is up, guys? It's Gage here. Welcome to Buck Dat. And today I'm joined by my co-host, Ken, to talk a little Buccaneers football. And to start off, we're going to be talking about a Buccaneers teammate that's coming in for a tryout. Freaking Burrito Blankenship, a.k.a. Bubbles.
Yes, Rodrigo Blankenship, a name from the past. The Lou Groza Award winner at Georgia in 2018. A little bit of a backstory. His Georgia team beat Baker Mayfield's Oklahoma team in the 2018 college football semifinals. So there's a little bit of history there between those guys. Hopefully they can put their hard feelings aside, and if Blankenship becomes a member of the Buccaneers, and they can be cordial to one another. But he's been really snake bitten by injuries, the hip injury in 2020. His first season was really good with Jacksonville, 32 of 37 on field goals, 87%, pretty good percentage. Was 43 of 45 in extra points, and then the hip injury, and he's just had a tough time, with the kicking aspect of it, just trying to be consistent, and it's kind of bounced around a little bit. Had a cup of coffee with the Jets last season. Not under contract now, so the Bucs brought him in for a look to compete with Chase McLaughlin. McLaughlin's got a big leg, but doesn't have quite the consistency on the kicks that Blankenship has. So it'll be interesting to see how that battle plays out. I would imagine they'll sign Blankenship, bring him back in training camp, and then have some good competition, throughout training camp, and the best man will win.
Yeah, and you look at the averages. Like I would say for a kicker, average is about 80% a kick is made. Chase McLaughlin is not even 80. He's like lower. He's like 79, 78 that you mentioned, and that's not what you want. Like McLaughlin, he can kick probably a field goal from 60 yards, but how consistent is it going to be? Are you willing in the game? Let's say you got a lottery ticket and your kick's like, okay, you got this amount of chance to make a field goal. Are you going to take it? So with McLaughlin's 2 out of 5, I'm not sure if I really want to take that. I'd be very, very nervous to take that. Now, the Blankenship, he's around I think 83, 84 average per kick. And he has a 94, 95 of extra points. So he's a more 3 out of 5. I feel a little confident in that. He's more like a 50-50. Or maybe 55 to 45. So I'm a little bit more confident. Honestly, Blankenship, I prefer him. And he's a character that you like. I think he'd be a good leader on the Buccaneers team as well. He might only be a kicker, but those guys, trust me, they know how to pump up the team when they need to be. And Blankenship. He's a guy that you can that the fans will love.
Yeah, and we all know the special teams have been less than stellar in Tampa the last few seasons. Even during the Super Bowl season, they weren't great. And all aspects of the team, the kicking game, the return game. Now they've kind of solidified that punting situation with Jake, but they could definitely use some improvement on the kicking game. Look how many games have been decided by kicks in the last 2 years alone, and look how many games the Bucs have lost the last couple of years because of a missed kick or a block kick or something didn't go right on the field goal attempt. So I mean, you need to have strong special teams play, and a lot of time that is the difference. Can be the difference between a successful season and a not successful season. So I think the competition is going to be good, and we'll see how it plays out.
And you mentioned kicking is a very vital part of the football team. You could be down 3 points, they could win you the game, and you have to rely on that kicker. And those situations do pop up very frequently in the NFL. And I'm just saying, guys, like Chase McLaughlin. That's why I was even asked JC, is that rookie going to compete against McLaughlin? Is there someone going to be competing against McLaughlin? Because this is just here you go, bud. Here's the keys to the kicking. I'd be not very happy if the coaching staff decide like that because McLaughlin, look at his track hit record. It's not that good. Like he's had some success, but also very non-success for the most part. Blankenship, he had a couple of good years at the Colts. Got injured, as you mentioned, and has a bit of an injury bug right now, but he's recovering from that hip. This season, he should be fully recovered. So that is a guy I hope they bring in, sign, and let compete against McLaughlin. There is a kicker I've been waiting for. Like I was like, God, we should get him. He's an older guy. I think he's older than the kicker we just had. Robbie Goldie. He's like 36, 37. He had a long, successful career with Chicago Bears, and it's been 49ers a couple years. That's a kicker I originally wanted. He's older, but the guy is clutch. Guy's clutch. He's one of those rare kickers that doesn't matter how old he gets until he's like at least 40. But he's a guy that you can rely on for. And honestly, to me, I think he would be a good option for 2 years. But yeah, I like that they're looking at younger kickers and someone that could be with us for a while, and that's Blankenship. So I'm hoping he gets signed and we have a little kicking competition because we need it. That everyone's like right back to knee position, guys. It's kicking. Kicking is the most needed position for the Bucs currently right now.
Yeah, and I think Blankenship would add a lot to this the Buccaneers special teams area. So we'll see how it plays out. We know they're both going to get a good opportunity, once the preseason game starts, just like we've seen in the past with the kicking competition. And, they'll be kicking, 50 to 75 balls a day during training camp, and they'll have them all over the field, long distance, short, so by the end of training camp and the first or second preseason game, they'll have a pretty good idea of who they're going to go with and who will be the best fit for the team. At least that's the way that I've seen it, work out in the past with the kicking competition.
Yeah, I don't say they're going to wait that as long as the quarterback competition.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there was another marquee player that was released. Maybe marquee player is being too generous, but James Robinson was cut loose by New England, who just signed him about 3 months prior. So that tells me a couple of things. Number one, Robinson's still not completely healthy yet, from the ACL injury that he suffered. He had one good season, and that was his first season when he really ran well, averaged 4.5 yards per carry, ran for over 1,000 yards, had 7 touchdowns. He was also a very good receiver out of the backfield, but he tore his Achilles in 2021. And the funny thing about James Robinson being released, and I'm gonna go on a little tangent here, Gabe. So just bear with me, okay? Every player that gets released from 31 other NFL teams, there is somebody or a group of fans that say, we got to bring this guy to Tampa. Delvin Cook gets released. We need to sign Delvin Cook. James Robinson gets released. Let's bring in James Robinson. Aaron Rodgers, one side of Green Bay. Let's trade for Rodgers. Let's bring him in. Let's bring a 38-year-old quarterback in so he can play 2 years and then retire, and then we're back in the same situation that we were before. Okay, this fan base, a lot of them need to get off planet delusional. Deal in reality. Okay, the Bucs don't have any money. They're going to be lucky to have money to sign their draft picks. Okay, they can't be signing every Tom, Dick, and Harry that gets released from these other 31 NFL teams. If Aaron Donald were to get released, somebody would say, we need to sign Aaron Donald and cut Vita Vea. I mean, come on. James Robinson is not going to be coming to Tampa. Delvin Cook's not coming to Tampa. the roster is pretty solidified right now, except for those few 10 to 12 fringe players that the Bucs will put on the roster after training camp and the preseason ends. And the majority of those guys are going to play on special teams. So let's just calm down. Let's cool the jets a little bit, and let's ride with the guys we have here. The running back room is pretty much set, unless there's an injury. Rashad White, you got Edmonds, you still have Keyshawn Vaughn, you got Sean Tucker, who's undrafted free agent, Patrick Laird. I mean, there's no room.
Keyshawn Vaughn, I don't think he's going to be on the team that, like, I think he's personally going to get cut. But yeah, we got all these running backs. Our room, honestly, everyone's like, who the fuck are these guys? So, we don't need superstars for running backs, guys. These guys are pretty decent, and should I say, very, we can afford them. We can afford them. Like Elliott, he'd be perfect with White, but he's too expensive. He wants like $10 million a year. So he's just not really there. James Robinson, I would love to have Robinson, but we would have to move around some money. We would have to reconstruct Chick Barrett. And James Robinson's a good running back, but not a superstar running back to make all his moves for. And we really don't need to. We got our star running back, and that's Rashad White.
Right. And James Robinson is not a good enough back that he's going to move the needle. There are a few running backs that, okay, will move the needle and make you a better team. James Robinson's not going to make the Buccaneers a better team with who they have in the running back room now. I mean, he's not that much better, or even I wouldn't say he's better than Rashad White or Chase Edmonds. So why are you bringing him in? You already got guys that can.
Well, I do think he's better than Edmonds, because Edmonds, when he got that starting role with Miami, even in Denver last year, he just didn't do well. James Robinson, you look at when he plays as a starter, he does make a difference, but he's not very consistent, and he's injured. He's just not healthy. That's been his main problem. I think he's always been a factor when he does play, but can he stay healthy? Like, he's good for one game, but the next 5, he might not even be there. So it's like, is it worth?
Oh, he's injury prone. So how's that going to help your team win games?
Yeah. Look at Julio. Last year. He couldn't stay healthy for the life of him.
Yeah. And Russell Gage. Russell Gage had the worst season he's ever had because of injuries. Now, hopefully, that's behind him this season. He doesn't have a track record of being injured. We'll see about that, but you never know.
The past 2 years he's been kind of injured. Like last year, because I was thinking the year before, because he did get injured in the second year in his career. But yeah, last year was when he really took a big big injury hit. And this year, Baker Mayfield mentioned, I think it was like the last month, like, Russell Gage is a little dinged up. And they're saying, it's like, that's not looking good. It's not looking good. That's why I think we signed David Moore, because we need someone to come in that can come in if Russell Gage is hurt. And we don't exactly want to rely on a rookie Myers, or it might be Myers, or Plummer. We don't want to on him if he has to start. You get a veteran there like David Moore to back up, and that's already bad news. You have to get someone like that possibly back up receiver that could get hurt any moment. So we're going to have to see about that. But yeah, if you're injury prone, it's just not worth it. And we really have enough players that have that kind of problem, like Russell Gage, who's going to be our number 3 guy. So don't need another guy possibly that we can't rely on. So James Robinson I like a lot, but unless you take him for a minimum, then I probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't even know that I would bring him in for them for the minimum. I mean, he's had one good season, tore the ACL, and there are a ton of players that have never ever been the same player, and it's cost them their career after a very bad ACL or MCL injury. And I think Robinson's probably going to end up being one of those guys.
Yeah, so far it's looking like, yeah. Larry signed a 2-year, $8 million deal with the Patriots this past season, just his off season, and he's already cut. It's when trade campaign hasn't even started yet. So obviously something's going on in the back doors.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Bucs mini camp is in progress now. Started Tuesday. They got practices today, practice on Thursday, and the offensive line, the starting unit, was kind of interesting. Now, this may change as they get into training camp and, they have some competition. But right now, the starting offensive line from left to right is Tristan Wirfs, of course, at left tackle, Matt Filer, left guard. Hainsey was at center, just covering for Ryan Jensen. They're just holding Jensen out to give him, some more time on that knee. And then on the right side of the line, you had Cody Mach at, right guard, and then Luke Godeke at right tackle. So that's the Bucs starting offensive line as of June 12th, minicamp.
So what are your thoughts on the line?
What's that?
So what's your thoughts on the offensive line? You think they're going to be improved this year?
Yes. Pro Football Focus has them rated 14th out of 32 teams. And you and I have talked about this a lot here on the, You Buck That podcast. And we've always said that this offensive line is going to be better than a lot of people are going to give them credit for. And the Bucs really have some nice depth along the offensive line when you look at the unit as a whole. They've got Leverett, Brandon Walton, Stinney, John Mulchin. I mean, those guys are, outside of Mulchin, those guys have all played NFL games and they have a resume. So it's not like you're putting, an unproven veteran or an unproven rookie out there should you have somebody go down along that offensive line. So I think the starting unit is solid. And I think the more, they work together, they've got a couple days here of mini camp, and then they'll, work together. Training camp, first couple preseason games. I think they'll be fine, and they'll be ready for Minnesota on September 10th.
Yeah, me too. And the only the offense to me, once Jensen's in there, it's going to be an all-pro line. Not saying Hansley can't be that, but as of right now, Jensen center and everyone else that you mentioned that's placed in now, that is the all-pro line. Now it does take I'll actually someone mentioned this to me. It actually takes 3 years for offensive line to get in sync with each other. Because after years of working each other, that's when you got that chemistry. You can fully have that trust in that guy to do their job. And these are young guys. These are veterans coming together, so you got to expect it to take some time. But I think we have a potential top 10 line maybe in a year or two. Now, this year there's going to be some hinks and we're going to have to take some train wheels off, so to speak, from some of our rookies. But this is everyone's like Tom Brady. We're fucked. It's just basically what I'm saying. We're not Tom Brady, so we're fucked. No, we're not, guys. We have a young team. We got a young offensive line, and even our defense is getting younger. David probably on his last year, so we're going to have to prepare for that position. But overall, we are looking at this could be like a 10-year running. As long as Baker Mayfield shows his potential, plays at the level we know he can be, this could be a really good team, maybe a long-term team that we haven't seen yet.
And speaking of your analysis there, the Bucs can be a really good team. Pro Football Focus has the Bucs rated as the best team in the division. And again, this is a topic you and I covered weeks ago when, Peter King and these other so-called football gurus were saying that the Bucs were the 30th best team in the league and 31st best team, and we're going to be last in the division. Pro Football Focus has them as the 21st best team in the league, which would put them probably a 500 team, which is what we think they'll be. Probably 9-8, maybe 10-7. That would be a bit of a reach, but they have Carolina as the worst team in the league, Atlanta in third place, New Orleans in second, and then the Bucs is the best team in the division. So somebody is actually using their head and coming up with the analysis, looking at this roster. You know what? This is a pretty good roster. There's no way this is the 30th or 31st team in the league. Okay,
Yeah, I don't know who, Peter King. I don't know what I think. That's just crazy, man. I don't even know what to think about what he said about that. Like, I would like, I've seen something like, oh, the Bucs are 25th, 26th, the average analyst. But like, I was like 30, the last team in the league. What? Well, I could name so many worse teams off than us.
Oh yeah, we went. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got enough though. Yeah, like the Commanders. That's a team I would have popped up in my head. Okay, they're probably not. They're not looking swell. They don't really have. They have basically a rookie starting this year. So.
Yeah, their defense has been pretty solid though. So I wouldn't say that they're close to the worst team. Arizona and Houston, I think, are the worst teams in the league. They're going to struggle this year.
Carolina, before, but I really love how they built their coaching staff, and they got, I'm feeling, a veteran for receiver, and Bryce Young. He's a quarterback I was high on. I don't think it's going to be exactly 500, but I don't think they'll be the worst team. I think they'll be better than the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons don't even have a quarterback. Like, at least the Panthers have Andy Dalton and Bryce Young. Who do the Falcons have? Like, I don't even know who Riddler is.
Desmond Ridder.
Yeah, Desmond Ridder. Like, I don't even know who that dude is. Like, and their defense, they're built, like, they're signing some really good guys, but you got a lot of teams have done this before in the past. Redskins actually was one of those teams, and the Eagles in the early 2000s, and they failed that season. So the Falcons, to me, I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. And I think Panthers will be. I think they'll also be one of the worst, but not as bad as the last. I think they'll probably be like around 27, 26 would be my guess.
Well, don't forget though, about a month ago when the NFL schedule came out, there was I saw a comment on Twitter. They had the Atlanta Falcons schedule posted there, and wins and losses by all of the games on the Falcons schedule. And they had the Atlanta Falcons going 13-5.
13-5?
Yes, 13-5.
How?
I don't know. I don't know.
Who they playing? Who they playing? Are they playing the Browns? Are they playing are they going against all shitty teams? There's no way they're lose the 5 games. That's about how many games they'll win this year.
Yeah, they might go 5-13, not 13-5, right?
Yeah. I think someone forgot the glasses and they read it opposite. Oh shit! It's supposed to be 5-13. My bad, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But again, that's the optimism coupled with delusion this time of year, and instead of actually looking at your roster and the games on the schedule and using your football knowledge to come up with, okay, we really have a chance at winning this game or not? Are we gonna the Bucs? There's like 4 or 5. Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 games on the Buccaneers schedule. You never want to say they have no shot to win, but it's 99%. They're not winning. Okay, Philadelphia, San Francisco. Those are 2 games right there.
I don't think we're gonna win. Most likely not. Not unless Baker Mayfield is playing superior football. Like we have a very good team, but we're not a top team yet. We just aren't. And it could take us a year or 2 to even be that level, but right now, no, we're not winning those games. That's why I'm not people are going to judge Baker off his first 4 games. Like if he goes 1-3 or 2-2, I can't. And personally, for me, those 4 games could be fucking rough. Vikings, and people are like, "Oh, the Vikings they're freaking rebuilding their team." No, they're not, guys. No, they're not. They lost 1 player from that top 5 team, top 5 offense, I should say. They still got Jefferson, who to me is the best receiver in the league. They still got Madison, who you guys haven't seen too much, but he's on the field, bro. He makes a difference. He's running for people. Kind of reminds me of Marshawn Lynch type. They just drafted a first-round receiver, Addison, who was rated pretty high in the draft. They got Hawkinson, who's a number 2 tight end. Kirk Cousins, basically a Derek Carr. And then they got a defense that's rebuilding, but they got Brian Flores as defense coordinator. So Vikings are not a team I'm taking lightly. To me, they're a top 10 team right now. Right now, at this moment, without Daniel Hunter, even if he got traded, they're still a top 10 team. This is not a team I'll fuck around with. You just don't. So you got the Vikings, the Eagles. Trying to think who else is. There's other 2 teams. 49ers, I think.
Got Buffalo. The Bucs have to play at Buffalo on a Thursday night, and then I don't see them winning that game.
Let's assume Josh Allen makes a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, well, that's true, but I mean, the Bills are, really talented. I mean, the defense is good, offense is good.
I'm going to say we have a chance there because their defense, they lost a lot of players this offseason. And Thornton won Edmonds from their defense, who was their top player in that defense. And there's a lot of problems with Stephon Diggs, but, there's always something with that. But yeah, Buffalo, they seem to be making a lot of mistakes. So I think there's a chance. Now, most likely we won't win that game, but there's a chance because Josh Allen seems to be getting more flustered as time goes.
Yeah. Now, getting back to your point about Minnesota, I have that as a toss-up game, and I think that's a game that the Bucs can win, and they could lose as well. And the reason I say that is because the first 4 games, really, everybody's kind of feeling everybody out because nobody wants to play the starters and nobody wants to give them extended playing time in the preseason. So really, that first couple of weeks of the NFL season is going to be the first time that everybody is kind of played together for an extended period of time. And it takes a little bit of time, to get your chemistry down and, to learn what this guy's doing, along the offensive line, how he moves and, maybe, learning a new system or some new plays. So the first couple of weeks for me, I mean, are really a crapshoot and, almost, anything could happen really. Till we kind of get a feel for who these teams are really going to be this season.
Yeah, because every team's different. Like Tom Brady says, everyone's like, "Oh, they're good. They got all the same players." It's not always about that. It's like you're never going to play with the same coaches. You're never going to play with the same players. It's a completely new team every different year. Like Chiefs, they're a different team than they were last year. They were a different team than when Patrick Mahomes was in the second year. Every team's different. And the Bucs are the same way. They got a new quarterback. They got new players, new rookies they're implementing. Even the offensive line's new. Like most of those guys are new players. So it's going to take time.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
The offensive coordinator's new. So they got a new offensive system.
Dave Canales. And that's why Kyle Trask is not – everyone's like, oh, he's been learning Tom Brady's system for the past, 2 years. Oh, that system's gone. That system is way gone, man. So Kyle Trask is just as new as Baker Mayfield in the system.
Yeah, that is true. One thing that was interesting, I saw the Bucs really put a heavy emphasis on yesterday at minicamp, and I'm sure this will continue to be a focus as they get into training camp. And then the preseason game is the emphasis on the red zone execution. The Bucs were the 8th worst team in the league last year at red zone execution. They were 26 of 50 inside the 20-yard line. And in the Baker Mayfield and the guys and Coach Bowles and everyone talking to the media yesterday, they had said that was a point of emphasis for them, the red zone offense, wanting to improve on that with both running and passing. So it'll be interesting to see what improvements they make and how that unfolds during training camp in the preseason.
Oh, it'll be very interesting. And Baker Mayfield's really good with play action and that ball pass range. Which and Dave Canales is saying it's going to use that quite a bit this year. And you look at last year, Tom Brady. He did not play like Tom Brady knew. Obviously, he's in for some personal things like his divorce and everything, but on the field, didn't play like himself. He played like his age, seemed very frustrated. And Brian Leftwich is going for his man playbook. So there's that. And just like the whole season was rough. And we're going for injuries. Everyone has that excuse, injuries, that, but the Buccaneers just weren't the Buccaneers last year.
Yeah, no, they weren't. And I think that started with Brady's off the field issues. I think Brady's age factored into it. I think Father Time caught up with him a little bit. I think Byron Leftwich kept trying to put a square peg into a round hole, trying to force something, and that wouldn't work. Calling the same plays over and over and over when you hadn't had a history of success with a lot of those plays. Maybe you did a year ago, but not this season. So his inability to change things up, think outside the box, get a little bit innovative, I think you combine all those things together. And that was a big factor in the Bucs only winning 8 games last season.
Oh, definitely. Brian Leftwich just couldn't get together, and that shows how much of a difference Bruce Arians did make with Brian Leftwich, because Bruce Arians is mostly the offense coordinator. He's calling most of his plays. Brian Leftwich is helping with it. But Brian Leftwich finally got the rings, and some people just aren't always meant to be coaches. Brian Leftwich just might be one of those guys. Most might be assistant somewhere, but even like currently right now, he can't even get a job at college, so it shows you how much last year affected. Brian Leftwich, the guy a year ago was a head coach candidate. Now he's looking for a college job. And it's last season. It's a season you want to forget about, if I'm being honest. Like it was rough. And Tom Brady, I feel like everything off the field affected him on the field. You could see it on his face every game day. He didn't feel like he really wanted to be there, or he forced himself to be there. You know what I mean? Just it wasn't Tampa Bay time; it was angry time.
Yes, the tablet throwing, the yelling at the offensive lineman. Yeah. There was a couple of outbursts we saw on the sidelines last season.
I think didn't he even yell at Mike Evans this year?
I don't know that. Yeah, they might have had a conversation. I don't know that I would use the term yelling, but
because I think it was it was like on the sidelines. I think it was because I was like, Tom, what the fuck are you doing? It was literally I think it was like against the Panthers or Falcons. All right, it was the Panthers because we had to win that game. And fucking Tom was going off of Mike Evans for not catching it when it was like below his legs. Literally, Mike Evans wide open, he threw it below his legs. And he's like, man, why didn't you catch that? If I'm Mike, I'm like, bro, do you think I can extend my arms to catch it below my ankles?
Yes.
But Tom, man, that's on you, man. That is on you. And it seems like Tom was frustrated with everybody, but really it reflected on him as a quarterback. Honestly, Tom Brady, I think, should stay retired. He brought us to the playoffs, which is not something that we've always went to in the past couple of decades. But just I suppose should stay retired. It was that time. But he's retired now, and I do not think he'll be coming back.
No, he won't be coming back. He's done. Yep. So.
Yeah, well, I think that's going to wrap things up. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Like and subscribe and tell us, who do you want as our kicker, Chase McLaughlin or if the Buccaneers bringing in Bubbles? Let us know if you guys want him as our kicker, which he has my vote. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Like and subscribe, and